Hello and welcome to the third episode of the Yebo Watch Party Season 2. It's a very chilly afternoon here in Nairobi, but I'm positive that today's topic will be one that will keep all of us warm. Because today we are discussing energy solutions in the continent. I'm your captain for the day, George Mutero. Now, since the invention of the basic principles of electricity generation in 1831, energy has become a key driver of development and civilization. Whether generated through fossil fuel or renewable sources of energy, it is clear that electricity and by extension energy production has ushered the world into modern day living. Today, the world has suffered a great deal due to irresponsible form of energy production. But as we move forward, are there any sustainable ways of powering the future? That is our topic this week on the Yebo Watch Party in partnership with the United States Development Foundation or USADF. Please feel free to engage with us during these live stream and the panel discussion right after. That is here on Facebook at yebo.live and at USADF, on Twitter at yebo_live, and on Instagram at yebo.live. Let's begin with stories of what entrepreneurs on the continent are doing to solve these issues. Happy watching and see you soon.
Hii tala kulikuwa garso mwenye alikuwa anapita iko natuinterese, anatuambia hii tala ni ya bien muiuze, alafu tukauza kwa moya tukapima. Sasa tulipima na ile moya tukaona kweli ni matala za mzuri na njoo tukauza sasa 3. Na kupitia gisi tuliona uzuri wake nikainterese na bajirani mule nabo bakauza.
Antuka sami na compare ule mwenye kona ile sibe tuko na alitike kwa kunyumba na bale benye bana tuko difera sana. Tunaweza anza sai tutasoma ti paka antuka cha asubuhi tukajisikia kila kitu iko tayari kwa alitike. Antuka hakuna problem.
Jiko kwa kweli mimi napiga shukrani kubwa. Nilipata tangu mwezi wa 7 ndio nilipata jiko kuu. Kwa kweli inanisaidia sana juu tulikuwa tunauza jiko zingine na ziuza lakini haina miezi 3 inaharibika. Lakini hii hata iko shere lakini inawaka haraka na kila kitu kinaenda mapema.
Sasa nipate jiko koa nilianza kwanza na $10 ndio nikabapachi. Kisha kila mwezi nikakuwa na pana nyingine dish mpaka vile nilimaliza. Maana nilipa 5 mois.
ALDE Group is a social enterprise that is working in the renewable energy sector in the DRC. We started in 2013, distributing some dozens of solar lights in our village called Barak in South Kivu province in Eastern Congo. After that pilot, we realized that the problem that households in our village were facing was the same problem that other households across the DRC were also facing. In 1996, when the first war started, so my family and I were forced to flee to Tanzania for safety. We lived in a refugee camp called the Lugufu refugee camp. It was based in western Tanzania in a region called Kigoma. In 2015, I participated in what is now known as Mandela Washington Fellowship. During my stay in the United States, so there was, the USADF in partnership with FIALI conducted this competition for young entrepreneurs, and I applied for it, and I was among the winners. So it was a 25,000 grant And yeah, the grantors did help us a lot in terms of scaling our activities, especially in other parts, in terms of reaching more customers and also like in terms of building the team. We now have a team of about 500 people, so including both part-time and full-time employees. It is estimated that 90% of the DRC population does not have access to electricity. So far we have been able to sell more than 190,000 solar products, and we believe to have reached over 1 million households across the DRC.
Oxano Solar, basically started as a response to the challenges that we faced in the solar industry, because I started as a technician installing solar systems. So along my work, I started finding out that we're having quality issues with most of the components coming in from Asia. So wanted to to have equipment to be able to test these things, but because we found that equipment were quite distant bulky, so we said, okay, why not just go ahead and start an assembly line.
In terms of our product in general, we have 4 aspects of it. The assembly line is one of it. We also have installation services. We have outright sales. We sell solar components like batteries, inverters, so that's one part of it. Then we also do energy as a service.
It was in 2018, we heard about USADF and OLON, the Nigeria Off-Grid Energy Lead Challenge, in one of OLON's publications. And they encouraged us to go ahead and apply for it, because initially it was designed mostly for companies in the mini-grid distant space. We thought to go ahead and apply for it, and we are one of the 10 finalists for that year. Because before then, our cell tabbing and staging parts section was being done manually, and that limits the number of panels we can make in a day. Those days we can make max 15, at most 20 panels a day. So, but with the financial support and the grant that we received from USADF, we're able to acquire the auto stringing machine, and with that we now automate that process. I mean, that machine alone can do up to 100 and 150 panels a day. So it took away that constraints that we had in the time it takes to tab and string cells. It also made it more efficient. So our finished products are now cleaner and they are better.
Ever since we started a relationship with them, we find them a reliable organization. They are very committed, so we have a great trust in them. In Nigeria, power supply is very erratic, and they have come to close the gap. Especially our business, we depend so much on power generation. We can't do without power. So that is why our relationship with them has been so helpful. For 24/7, we are always on light.
My name is Joyce Wambui Gema. I'm 42 years old. I'm a social entrepreneur. Bomasafi is a social enterprise working with farmers as clients on renewable energy and energy efficient technologies. Basically what we do is we set up different hubs in rural areas, and using those hubs we register farmers who we are able to reach with life improving, poverty solving technologies, and part of the technologies involve energy products, that is clean cook stoves and small portable solar systems. 60% of the population in Kenya rely on biomass fuels as the primary source of fuel for this country. And in rural areas, you find farmers more and more using wood around 3-stone fires. Now the challenge with that is as our population grows, we don't have enough biomass to burn. And therefore, we provide a solution of a clean cooking wood stove that reduces the amount of wood that the farmer is using by up to 65 to 70%, because they burn more efficiently and they can improve the cooking time. So when you supply clean cook stoves, you are improving A, the indoor air quality, and B, you are reducing the amount of biomass fuel, but also saving money. The USADF grant has helped us a lot. We were able to set up 5 hubs across Kenya, which means that we can reach more people within their locality. These are rural hubs. Secondly, the grant assisted us to undertake a consumer survey in order to understand which areas should we focus and where should we set up these hubs. And number 3, we have been able to train our employees on use of management information system, on how to sell, on how to do marketing, how to engage with the consumers, how to collect data, how to translate that data into usable information that we can be able to deploy. So I would say that this grant has been very helpful for Bomasafi, and we are technology focused also, so we have been able to look at other technologies that are relevant to the same population, target population that we work with. So that makes our business model more sustainable.
Jikokoa uzuri wake haitumii makaa mingi. Kupika inapika haraka, alafu haitoangi moshi.
When it comes to solar, the solar home systems are more advanced. So you can write up 4 rooms, meaning that people can undertake different activities in different rooms. You don't all have to congregate around the ramp in order to carry out your evening activities.
Manufaa ile nimepata ni kupunguka saa yote kukimbia kwa soko. Najua hasa kama wakati wa hii ya mvua, saa ingine una pesa, una mtu wa kutuma, mimi ni shosho nimechoka. Sasa hiyo taa inanisaidia sana.
Bomasafi will continue to grow. We have a vision not only to be a clean energy distributor, but also a solutions provider.
Hello, my name is Adegbite, General Manager of iCabin Integrated Resources Limited. We are a solar-powered battery recharging service targeted to rural communities and basically the bottom of the pyramid, low-income earners. Our mission is to provide affordable and clean energy to the underserved communities of Nigeria and Africa as a whole. We are currently in the phase of deploying the pilot of our project, where we achieved the deployment of 2 kiosks located in Ikorodu and Saba in Lagos State and Delta State respectively. Our business model is such that people are able to rent our portable batteries for a small fee and access power on the go. It means that there's zero cost to installation, there's no huge upfront cost in the process as well. And this is one of the ways that we are beginning to break barriers and make sure that energy and power is something that is accessible to people as a whole.
Hello, my name is Olamide Osmeya. I'm the Ikorodu iCabin operator. I'm always here to make sure our iPads are charged every day on a daily basis. And I'm also here to attend to our customers that already have our iPads with them. I recharge for them once they have low battery. So I give them new. I do a swap for them. And mostly I entertain or I take in more customers. Every new customers, I verify them and I give them iPads.
My name is Inika Okukadu. I am the Asaba iCabin operator.
As a startup, the pandemic really was a big blow to us and our business slowed down. Customer acquisition was at an all-time low since we started. For obvious reasons, the lockdown restricted movement, and some of the areas which we operate, because of how they are structured, also tend to have a very high security risk. So our operations were really slowed. But the contribution by the USADF CARES program helped us to put us back on track, and it's been a big contribution to plug a hole, literally been a stopgap with the expected revenue that we lost over this period, and being able to continue to run our startup effectively. And for this, we want to say thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Yemisi Obashego. I am an analyst at iCabin Integrated Resources Limited, and I joined the company in September 2019, and we became open to customers in February 2020. And just after that, the pandemic hit and everything became slow, and there was a lot of uncertainty. So thanks to USADF CARES program, because through that our company has been able to start running again, and we're back on our feet, and that means that I'm able to analyze revenue driven data.
In the end, we look forward to being impactful with our contributions towards empowering and electrifying Nigeria and Africa.
Thank you, USADF.
Thank you, USADF.
Thank you, USADF.
Thank you, USADF.
I'm sure by now you are very aware on what our topic is. You've seen a lot of solar, you've seen a lot of light, you've seen a lot of power. And yes, we are discussing energy, how to empower the next generation of energy providers, clean energy providers in Africa, and how to power the future of this continent in a responsible way. To help me dive into this topic, I'm joined by Babafemi Adegbite, who is the off-grid lead at USADF. He is responsible for the energy portfolio. Femi has over 7 years of experience in renewable energy industry, has worked in various capacities such as sales, installation, development, operations, project management, and consulting. So he brings to this panel a wealth of experience. Prior to joining USADF, Femi was an associate at Customer First Renewables, where he supported and advised clients on large-scale renewable energy purchases. Welcome, Babafemi. Also, we are joined by Washikala Malango. He is a Mandela Washington Fellow. He's a social entrepreneur and development specialist with Washikala, has over 7 years of experience in the sector, helped co-found the Alternative Energy Technologies Distribution Company, better known as Altec. And through Altec, he has been able to design and implement business models which close the clean energy distribution gap in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Welcome to the show, Washikala. We're also joined by Joyce Gema, who is the founder of TradeCare. TradeCare Africa Limited is a social enterprise that uses knowledge from global value chains to invest in services that have transformative impact on workers and smallholder farmers in Africa. One of the ways that it's doing that is providing and supplying clean energy to smallholder farmers. Welcome, Joyce. We are also joined by Ade Balogun. Ade is the general manager of iCarbon. And iCarbon is an off-grid solar-powered battery recharging kiosk. And just like a village water well, where people come in the center of the town to get a bucket of water in for their daily use, the iCarbon provides electricity without hassle of creating a village electricity grid, and iCarbons can be installed and operational in a matter of hours. Welcome to the show, Ade. And last but not least, we are joined by Chuks Umezurola. Sorry for that. He's the co-founder and chief operating officer of the Oxanu Solar Company in Nigeria. He was pivotal in setting up the first privately owned solar panel assembling plant in Nigeria. And Chuks has more than 12 years of experience in solar sector. He has experience in solar system designs and installation, and he doubles as the technical director of Oxanu Solar. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'll start with you, Femi. USADF Renewable Energy Docket has certain mandates, especially around Africa. Take us through what USADF's interest and plan for investing in enterprises in this clean energy sector in Africa are.
Thank you, George. Good morning and good afternoon to everyone across the continent watching around the world. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. As you mentioned, the USAID, U.S. African Development Foundation is an independent U.S. government agency established by the U.S. Congress to invest in African grassroots organizations, entrepreneurs, and SMEs. And we leverage our tools, capital, technical assistance, and convening power to help drive maximum impact on the continent. So to the USADF interest in energy stems from the gap and opportunity, I'll say opportunity created by the challenge of energy poverty and the link between energy access and socioeconomic development. As you know, about 650 million people are now projected to still lack electricity by 2030 in the world. The majority of those are still in Africa, right? So the USAID's plan and investment is focused on, funding projects that increase access to clean and renewable energy and also increase productive use of energy, thereby moving communities towards economic prosperity, which is one of our mandates, and also, moving the world towards eradicating energy poverty.
Correct. Thank you for that introduction, and we'll be coming back to you to basically learn more about basically the opportunities that are available in this region and in this sector. But allow me to move to Ade. At iCarbon, Ade, your focus has been the rural communities. Briefly, take us through your journey. What inspired you guys to start? And what was the initial reception in Nigeria?
First, I would like to take you through why we thought about this idea and what that is about. It's really about the energy, solar, which has become the renewable energy of choice at this time. But the thing is, it's still very expensive for especially the bottom of the pyramid. And our basic idea was to try and see how we can get clean power to the bottom of the pyramid at an affordable rate. And our journey so far has largely been with the support of the USADF and the All-On grant and program that we won in 2018. And that has helped us to basically take that idea and vision and bring it into reality. So at this point, we are running our pilots. We have 2 kiosks that are up, one in Ikorodu and the other one in Asaba. And the reception so far has been good. The interest has been high. And people really just want the basic things. I want lights to see at night. I want to power my phone. I want to be able to plug a fan. And we find that without having to own a solar home system and solar panels on your roof, our battery as a service system through our iPads, which are the green things people saw in the video, has become a way for people to access that energy. And we're looking forward to getting the system right and scaling in the near future.
I'm really interested in knowing the process of acquiring those green things that we've seen on the on the video piece. And how affordable is it and the reception, but we'll be getting back to you on that. Let's meet Chooks. Chooks, at Oxanu, you guys are assembling solar panels, and this must have been such an expensive venture considering that you're a private entity. How important was it for you to build an African product that gets used by Africans?
Thank you, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're watching from. Okay, I want to say a big thank you to USADF for this opportunity. Okay, at Oxano Solar, yeah, it was an important venture for us. Initially, it looked like a very risky venture, but part of the things that spurred us on was we looked at this whole thing and said that, one, Africa will only be built by Africans. And if we stay away from ventures because they are risky, then we may never start, so we say that, okay, so why not start this? If we fail, we'll try it again. So yeah, it looked quite risky at the beginning, but I can tell you one of the things I learned from this venture is that things always look tougher from the outside. Once you get inside, you always find ways, to eat the elephant. Yeah. So it was risky, but it was an important venture for us.
Interesting. At least now you know how the elephant tastes from the inside. As you share the secrets on how to skin the elephant and eat its meat, we'll come back to you with more questions. But let's meet Joyce. At Bomasafi, Joyce, right now you operate as trade care. Your main customers are farmers. We live in a continent that is heavily reliant on agriculture. Apart from helping, farmers with their home use, how is your energy solution at Bomasafi helping farmers with their business?
Yeah, thank you very much. And it's good to join this team discussing energy. Obviously, the primary reason the farmers or our customers buy the solar lanterns is lighting up their homes. But we've seen an increase recently in energy for productive use, especially because farmers are currently using irrigation as a way of adapting to climate change. And with solar becoming cheaper, it is actually one of the most affordable forms of energy for irrigation. So we have small irrigation systems that rely on solar, and that has enabled them to actually create small reservoirs and be able to irrigate during the dry season. Besides irrigation, obviously, security has become a critical aspect in homes, and we see that farmers are using solar lanterns to secure their homes, to light up their homes outside, to light up their animal sheds, to light up their chicken sheds. And that's a very interesting one because a lot of farmers practice mixed forms of production, and chicken farming is becoming quite interesting among farmers with small land holding. And solar is essential for them to actually ensure that they can light up their chicken sheds. Obviously, mobile charging, and because Kenya is known for mobile money, every farmer can be able to trade, even with those in urban areas, because they remain connected.
That's absolutely a very nice way of expounding what productive use of energy is. At least we've seen it empowering mobile and mobile money and security. And we'll get back to how that works from a trade care Bomasafi perspective. But let's move to now DRC. Washikala, I hope the rain is not disturbing you so much. But you come from the second largest country in Africa. Your renewable energy solution is helping communities in dire need. For example, clinics and chemists that operate late into the night. Take us through the journey of Altec briefly.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And my internet connection is not my best ally here, but please understand. I hope
It's
it
okay.
will work. So yeah, as far as Altec is concerned, so Altec was started by young Congolese who were discussing about solving issues affecting the DRC. And while discussing those issues, they found out that, energy poverty was one of the biggest issues that needed to be solved in order for Congo to move forward. And it also came out of the desire of being involved in solving our own problems. Africa faces a lot of problems, and I think it's in order to solve these problems in a sustainable way. Africans themselves, especially the young people, needs to be involved in solving those problems. It's only through our involvement that we can solve these problems sustainably. So yeah, it is these ideas that led to the formation of Altec so that we can solve the energy poverty problem in the DRC. And yeah, so we started in Eastern Congo in 2013. The whole region was still unstable, but we said, okay, yeah, there are always challenges, but again, this is one of the challenges that we have to work hard to address these challenges. So yeah, we persevered. And up to now, we are operating across the DRC, and you have been able to achieve what we have achieved so far.
Interesting, and we'll be getting back to you with more. I'll just like to let our audience on Facebook know that you're free to shoot questions to the panel. They will be willing and ready to answer some of the questions that you shoot on our live stream on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram during this panel discussion. But allow me to go back to you, Femi. Chooks and Washikala have mentioned two very important things, or one thing that they've mentioned it in two different ways. The importance of young Africans being involved in bringing solutions to their own continent. I know you come from an organization that operates from outside of Africa, but very much with African solution makers. Where do you fit, especially in this energy mandate that is under your docket?
Yeah, so as you said, the USADF was, started, through a congressional act, as I mentioned before, and as you said, kind of like outside Africa, but we do have local partners on the ground, and that's where some of our technical assistance for a lot of these entrepreneurs, like Chooks and Malango and Ade, kind of work with our technical partners on the ground. So we implement all of our implementation and technical assistance is through the local partners that we have on the ground in country in each of those places. So we're able to actually be closer to our entrepreneurs and be able to prefer solutions that are local to them, as you said. So, I mean, as you pointed out, to young entrepreneurs all across the board, right? USADF has invested over $10 million in different, about 100 off-grid projects on the continent in 15 countries. So across the subcontinent, or from West, Central, Eastern, and Southern Africa, we've actually invested, funded a lot of projects. So we look through our annual off-grid challenge. We find, fund and help grow local talent, young entrepreneurs that are helping to solve this great challenge that we talked about, that Chooks mentioned, that Malango mentioned, this problem of energy poverty across the continent, to help find local solutions, creative solutions, and help fund them and provide assistance, like I said, technical assistance, and then connections also through our convening power to them to help them kind of grow their enterprise and impact more people.
Interesting. Ade, when Femi was talking, something just stood out. He mentions $10 million, 100 off-grid energy enterprises, and in 15 countries. I know USADF worked closely with iCarbon. How important has it been, not just financially, but also technical assistance, as Femi mentions? How important has that been to help iCarbon walk the baby steps and finally stand on its own, whereby you can continue operating?
The way I see iCabin, we're like that baby who is basically at the stage where we're crawling just before we walk. And the interaction and the support we've had from USADF is one that, first of all, keeps you honest. Because first of all, what we're trying to do is quite new, the battery as a service solution. So there is not much to learn from on the market. So we're literally learning different stages and how to import this thing where it is still classified to benefit from the solar discount you get on taxes and all of that. So there's been a lot of support. So I feel like USAF has been more like a mommy or a daddy who has been there to kind of hold your hands and provide you with some support to say, okay, what are you doing? And also keeping you honest in the process, and also making sure that there is the opportunity to grow on the process as well. So I think, first of all, the fact that you have to give in your quarterly reports, and then you have to know that, okay, what are you doing next? What's the next thing you have to do, especially since this solution is practically new. So I think the relationship has been very beneficial. And then speaking that nobody thought we would experience, nobody saw it coming. And we kind of opened our business to customers in February of 2020. And by the end of March, we were being having USADF, not just support for our business, and keeps us going, keeps us moving and pushing the bar ahead. So I'm very, very happy with that, really.
Earlier, when we were talking to you, you mentioned that one of your motivations to get into this business was because you saw the need in energy being expensive to the bottom of the pyramid. Kindly take us through the conceptualization, briefly through the conceptualization process, whereby you saw the need and thought this is the solution, and how that solution has translated into a solution to the industry that you're catering for. In this case, the bottom of the pyramid that you referred to earlier.
Okay, so first, very easy to see problems and complain about the problems around you. I'm sure that's not new to any of us as Africans. Being part of the solution is another thing. And so with us, it's like when there's a problem, it's not just a problem you have to deal with, but it's also an opportunity. And how can you participate in making the best of this opportunity? And that's where all of this, that's where the main idea came from. And like with all things, you first do your research, you kind of think there should be a solution similar to what we're thinking about. How can people at the bottom of the pyramid access this thing? Because it's quite still pricey for the average man to install a solar home system. So if you want to extend that in a way that it's more accessible, how else can you do it besides the solar lanterns and the other small solutions that you have? And we did our research and applied for the grants, and that's kind of what took us into the business as a whole in itself. But just seeing that opportunity and trying to say, how can you connect the dots and make meaning and create impact in this space? So in a large way, I would like to say that it's really just knowing that there's space for everybody. And when you speak to the 100 million Nigerians who do not have access to electricity, they are not me who is in the urban area. So there's so much market and there's much resources that we can extend to people within the country, within our barriers where we live, that not just benefits us profitably, but also improve the lives of people and make impact, real visible impact. School children are able to read, there's more security, the impact is almost unmeasurable once we can get it to work perfectly.
Correct. Chooks, when Ade is talking about spotting an opportunity and wanting to explore this opportunity, it reminds me of something that you mentioned earlier, a risk. you put up quite a plant that must have costed you a lot, to put together. How was there any reward to your risk in this energy sector?
All right. Thank you so much. I started out as a technician, as I mentioned in the video. And so part of the things that maybe the reason why I think the way I think is because of the challenges that I've experienced firsthand. So it's more like, you've been facing this yourself, okay, how can I solve? So it was when we started thinking of, okay, maybe getting equipment for the testing. So we now realized that most of the equipments were quite bulky. So it's just like you wanted to take one step. Something's telling you one step will not be enough. Why not take two? So as you're doing, you're taking more steps. So that was virtually how we got in. And then the other way that we looked at it is this: we told ourselves one thing. I always tell people, I say, start early. We told ourselves that we're young. If there's any time we're going to take risk, it has to be now. So it's better we take the risk now, so that if it doesn't work out as planned, we'll have enough time to try again. Because part of the things that it dawned on us is that maybe you may just be the only one that can kickstart this. So for us, we looked at it, and then of course, we do our due diligence, because when you're betting your life savings on something, you have to think it, through properly. Because if you lose it, you're back to square one, So we did our due diligence, visited a lot of, factories in China and India. I looked at the whole process, and, I told myself, this is not difficult, that we can do this. This now we can do this, So that was, so that was the courage for us. And also knowing that where we come from is where the need is greatest. So I told myself, I said that if people in Europe are buying these solutions, people that have regular power are buying these solutions, how much more we, that don't even have power? So for us, it's not just about reducing our carbon footprint. It's that we don't have power. We need power first of all, and then we have abundance in solar, this radiation in this part of the world. So it looked as though everything was in our distant favor. So we said, okay, so why not, go ahead and take on this challenge? And to be honest, I was happy I did.
Interesting. Joyce, when Chuks is talking about, doing due diligence in sort of looking for a proof of concept in starting a project, I know you've been working in with farmers or in areas whereby you help them reduce carbon footprint, but similar to what Chuks is handling, you are also very interested in just making sure that these smallholder farmers at least have power, have a place to charge their phones. How has that worked out for you in making sure that there is reliable power so that they can have something to irrigate their farms and charge their phones?
Yeah, basically, I hope you're talking about the situation during this pandemic period, right?
Even just before we get to this pandemic period, because I believe you were working with farmers closely even before the pandemic. So I just wanted to understand, yes, what was the motivation? You did your due diligence. You wanted to help them get clean energy, but at the core of it was you wanted them to have power that allows them to do the basics.
Yeah, access to energy is a basic right. I come from a legal background, so I look at everything from an access rights perspective. We don't only work with farmers to assist them access energy, we also work with farmers to assist them access markets. And if you connect farmers to market and they can have sustainable incomes, it means they can access services that are essential to live a decent quality of life. Because we talk about energy as sometimes a privilege, but in reality, access to energy is a basic issue of dignity for every human being. We should be able to live a life that has some form of quality to it. And if you go to a house that is being lit using kerosene, or farmers who are using wood to cook or charcoal, the quality of life is a serious issue. And that has been what motivated me or motivated us to actually provide these services to farmers, including credit, linkage to markets. And we would want to expand that business model in order to reach many more farmers. Because if everybody thinks about doing something good while making a profit, then we would accelerate the rate of development in Africa.
Interesting. I like how you've related it to, development and the future of this beautiful continent. It's something that Washikala mentioned earlier. As a Congolese, Mr. Washikala, how has the initial steps of Altec helped you accelerate the growth of, development in your home area?
Yeah, definitely. So, we look at how we contribute to the development in a broad sense, because as you know, when people do not have access to electricity, they are basically forced to use other expensive and unhealthy sources of energy. And so as we give people access to solutions such as solar products and the clean cooking stove, we help them to achieve a lot of benefits. And one of the benefits, for instance, could be increasing students' time to study. It could be saving money, but also it could be like improving the quality of their health. So it is in these areas that we are contributing to the development of the DRC. When people achieve all these benefits, actually, it ends up benefiting to the development of the DRC.
Correct. Let me just jump onto our Facebook stream and see if there are any questions that I might be posing to the panel. I think this is to you, Femi.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah. I think I was going to add a few things to what they said, but yeah, go ahead with the question. Yeah.
Okay. Let's ask the question and then you will react to what Washikala is saying. Okay, perfect. So there's a question here. How far do you think Africa is in fully embracing, adopting, and transitioning to renewable energy solutions? Because definitely you must have an interest as USADF in investing in this because you see potential in it, right?
Oh, great. Okay. So right before I take that question, that's a very good question. I'd like to comment on, just expand a little bit on what we talked about earlier, the USADF fitting into this. And I could see a theme if you listen to all the other panelists, Chooks, Ade, Joyce, and Washikala, in terms of talking about capital and risks, right? And so what we mentioned earlier is in terms of how USADF fits into this, right, on the continent as a scale. So if you think about what we mentioned earlier about our toolkit, about our capital, right? So one of the things that we do with our capital, one of the instruments, the method we do is doing blended finance, right, and taking our grant capital and using our grant capital to de-risk a lot of these projects, right? So that's one way where we fit in. Also, when you take into account also TAs that some of them is mentioned, like Ade actually eloquently talked about in terms of how our partners on the ground help kind of new nascent startups and early startups that we fund, also kind of help them walk through some of the challenges that they have and help them through the process of kind of growing as a company and making more impact. So you could see how our toolkit, our tools in terms of our capital, our technical assistance, and also recently we just finished Fund African Summit, which was pretty successful. And so that's where our convening power also comes in terms of connecting all of these young entrepreneurs, as like Washikala mentioned earlier, together to themselves, to learn from themselves and connect them also with other funders and potential funders and investors as they grow and as they become bigger companies and make more impact. So on the question in terms of how far Africa has gone, I think we're making good strides. Obviously, we're not where we need to be yet, but we're making good strides. As I mentioned earlier, right, that the majority of people that are still living with lack of electricity or any form of energy access, majority of them are still in Africa. So we still have ways to go, but the USADF portfolio and the work that Chooks and Ade and Joyce and Pascal are doing just shows how good we're progressing in terms of having leadership on the continent, entrepreneurship on the continent, taking that charge. Like I said, seeing a need, and as Chooks also mentioned, seeing a need, and and trying to fill that need. And then we come in as a USADF as an organization to help fund and support that. So to answer the question, yeah, where there's still a lot of potential, there's still a lot of gap in terms of where we need to be at. But I think we're getting there. And these folks on this panel, very impressive folks, are showing a testament to the fact that we're making those strides.
That makes a lot of sense. My question, allow just me to stay with you for a minute as I go to the question that I wanted to ask you before we went to the question that was on Facebook. Many people watching this stream have heard how important renewable energy is. It's helping in saving money. It's helping in health. It's helping in security, like Joyce mentioned. It's helping in agriculture, like Joyce mentioned. Someone young around the continent might be wondering, how do I get a chance to scale in this industry? Is the USADF available to assist, especially in areas beyond Kenya and Nigeria? And how can someone actually get help?
Absolutely. As I mentioned before, USADF itself is in over 20 countries on the continent. We've funded over 100 projects in 15 countries, Nigeria and Kenya inclusive, and many others, and we're still funding. So we're definitely interested, and we're committed to the continent. We plan to continue to find, and fund impactful energy projects, and help them, with Impera capital, with technical assistance and connections to help those companies grow. So we're always interested, where our act is, we're mandated, to help, impact the communities in Africa. One way to answer the other part of the question that young folks could participate, essentially, to your question is, annually we have what we call our off-grid energy challenge, which we do every year, where is a call for applications and proposals from entrepreneurs with brilliant ideas, like the folks we have on the panel, where they call for applications and proposals. It's submitted. They will go through our review process, and then we select those ones, the ones that we ultimately end up funding. So for anyone who's interested, that's one avenue, one way by which you could definitely get. If you have a great idea, we're always willing to take a look at it.
So someone can just come to the site and see if grants are open, or,
on the USADF.gov website. I'm going to plug in our website now. USADF.gov website. That's where we on our Twitter page, all our social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, and all the other social media pages. That's where when the applications, when the windows open, they're always on this. So keep an eye on our website for the funding windows. And I think Ade was one that mentioned earlier. One of the things we do, again, I talked about our capital and in our toolkit and our blended finance, right, is a partnership or co-funding with other organizations like Allon in Nigeria and a few other, venture builder in Ethio, for example. So also we do co-funding partnerships with other funders too. And again, those are always on our website and announced on our website, and you can always participate in those.
Good. Allow me to go to Chooks a bit. and talk slightly different. Let's talk business, Chooks. Part of this, when seed funding comes, of course, it comes with developing the product, but you have to make sure that your word is out there so that when Femi and Tim, shake your hands and say, it's been nice doing business, you cannot also close and say, it's been nice doing business. You have to continue. So how important is that process whereby they are holding your hand, working with you, but also how are you using this incentive, this funding, to be able to stand on your own 2 feet, getting your word out there, setting up systems that work? How important is that, and how has that worked for you?
Thank you so much. For us, it wasn't very complicated because, we set up our business model, based on what's sustainable. I mean, because where we play is not typically where you see grants look at. So we play in a different, aspect of the market. So when we started, we didn't hope that we'll get any decent grants. Even when the announcement came, I had to ask. I said, okay, are we eligible to apply for this? Then I said, yeah, listen, go ahead and listen, apply. So our model was based on sustainable model. Part of the things that we understood was that even though we're in Nigeria, that the competition that we face is beyond Nigeria. We're facing competition from Asia, from all over the world. So we need to benchmark against the best. So we need to find ways, even though we're local, but you have to, think global. So you need to find ways to ensure that your solutions and your models are sustainable. Part of the things I believe in, because when the grant came, for us, it was a major boost because, to be honest, it was never in our business model. We never thought that, that we'd get a grant, But part of the things that, like Adegbite mentioned, part of the things that we also learned, working with USADF and all on, was the processes. There was a lot that we learned, them taking you through the processes, writing your reports, quarterly this reports, they give you those timelines and those deliverables. So it also helped us to stay focused. And retaining the customers is very simple. I know that once you ensure that you keep your customers happy, they're going to stay with you. They're going to stay with you. So the trick is find a ways to keep your customers happy. And you can only keep them happy by giving them what they need. So for us, it wasn't complicated.
But allow me to ask this. You said it was not in your plan to get the grant, but you got it, thankfully. What did that grant do to your business? Was it, just going straight to the pocket, or what did it do to your business and your business model?
If you're familiar with Nigeria, raising capital in Nigeria is a tough task. It's a tough call. Most of our banks are going to ask you for so many things. And most startup companies hardly have the conditions to meet those requirements. So part of the things that happened was, because the grant enabled us to acquire an auto stranger listing machine. So part of the things that happened was, so when we brought that in, first of all, it improved our processes. It improved our process. It made our processes to be more efficient. Our production costs dropped, and our output was increased. So it's just like you got money from the bank, but this money, they were not asking you for your father's leg and your mother's, this neck and all that. So you're able to get that, and you're able to, put that support, to your business. So because most of the times for people that have worked with those guys, like a USADF, if your business model is not fireproof, it's hard to succeed. It's hard to succeed, to be honest. Because they want to know how you're going to make money. So even though they're giving this money, but they don't want you to close shop. So you need to demonstrate to them this is how you plan to make money. So for us, the grants reduced our production costs. And that was vital because in Nigeria, price is everything. Price is everything.
I want to be cheesy and ask, because when you talk to USADF, Femi and Tim, they'll definitely have milestones that you have to meet. When you get to a time like COVID, where your projections were reading this way. I will be able to have sales of this number. I'll be able to get people up to this time. I'll be able to scale my business within this month. And you are not able to do that right now because in your video you said customer acquisition is at its lowest. How are you adapting?
Okay, first of all, I think that the realities are not lost on anybody. And having a partner that's understanding of the reality was also very helpful because we've been cut breaks on where we know that things are not working. And then speaking to our business, which is really a new battery as a service is a new approach to solar systems. So all of this is new learning for all of us. And while we give that feedback back to USADF, we're able to review where we are, what did we think was achieved, what is now achievable, and how can we achieve what we really want to achieve? What can we tweak? So for instance, when we started a business, the plan or our business model, our projection was to sell the batteries. And then we realized very quickly by the time we opened to customers that the amount of money it costs to actually buy a battery, whether it's going to be microfinanced or not, was not very attractive to the customer. So it was understanding, it was a process of speaking to our investors and USADF and saying, hey, look, this is what we're noticing. So the system is also flexible and those milestones and the expectations are realistic. So it doesn't mean you can sleep on your target. But however, I do feel under a watchdog that's going to kill us targets and all of that. But instead the partnership, and it's a realistic partnership that allows us to grow together.
Before I get to Joyce and see how she's surviving during COVID, allow me to go back to Femi because what Ade is mentioning is very, very important. Having a partner who understands, despite the targets that you've put together and your mandate, you're supposed to keep them in check and make sure that every milestone is achieved. You also arrive to the realities of where we are, what we're currently doing, and the realities of the times that we're currently living in. I know money is not always the solution for everything. So what else is USADF doing to help the businesses or enterprises that it's working with wade around or maneuver during these very uncertain times, seeing as already you started working with them on specific targets?
Yeah, that's a very great question, and thank you, Ade, for the eloquent answer. I think as she said, right, the way USADF operates is essentially where we see ourselves as a support and partners with these entrepreneurs that we fund, right? So essentially, when we talk about pairing our capital with a TA, that's all through the entire phase and growth of the businesses. So the milestones that we talked about, for example, are usually a collaborative effort, right, between this portfolio, the companies that we fund and our team. So it's not us just essentially coming up with a list of items, right, and saying you're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, right? It's usually a collaborative effort that is customized to the needs, right, and to the expectations of the companies themselves, right, as Ade has mentioned. And again, talking about COVID, one of the realities of that is, again, like she's eloquently said, we all see that. We all, a lot of people have been affected by it. So again, as partners, as the fact that we're supporting these teams, we're able to be flexible and to be able to make adjustments, to the reality of the pandemic and of the times that we live in, right? And make adjustments to those milestones and give time. One of the things that we actually did when COVID actually hit was to, what I think they alluded to it a little bit, was the CARES fund that we did, relief fund assistance for COVID, where we essentially gave financial assistance, no strings attached, to all of the portfolio companies, the current portfolio grantees that we have, and a few of the past ones that we have. So and that helped. We got a lot of feedback in terms of how that helps. So that's also part of that support, that we understand the challenges, especially in the pandemic, and then being able to respond. And then we have our local partners, right? Our provided TAs, help them kind of restructure their, I can tell there are a lot of conversations we've had with different companies that we've invested in and funded, where we've given grants to, where we've actually had conversation on phone call with our partners, with the companies and our team, and then be able to try to figure out how we can then, restructure or rearrange all those milestones to make sure it accommodates, right, the realities of the pandemic. So that's kind of how we do. We're essentially partnering and supporting this because our interest is also in their growth and in their success, right? If we're going to tackle and solve the problem of energy poverty, as we've highlighted, right, we need enterprising and creative and innovative entrepreneurs like Chugs, like Ade, like Joyce, like Malango to help get us to that point. And then we provide our tools, our capital, our technical assistance, our connections to help them grow and move. And as Chugs mentioned, also having a sound business model, right? And and you asked the question about what happens after the grant period is over, right? So all of that through the phases of how when they're under the grant period of USADF, and then post the grant period, we're always there making those connections, using our convening power to help them connect to follow-on financing, what else they need, what strategic partnerships they need, and helping make those connections to help them grow, because the more they grow, the bigger they get, the more impact they have, right? And the more, as the question we had before in terms of the gap that still exists in Africa, the more we can keep chipping at that energy poverty gap, and that gap that will still exist on the continent.
Good. Joyce, when Femi talks about that still existing energy gap, COVID or no COVID, there's still an energy gap that the farmers that you deal with, the smallholder farmers that you deal with, need to fill. As we look at the energy sector, energy production costs, most of them go to energy. In your opening remarks, you mentioned that farmers are using solar power energy or renewable energy to do irrigation. When this pandemic hit and you still had a lot of farmers to work with, did this make you alter the kind of service you give to them? And did this affect the way you operate in terms of also expecting return on investment?
Yeah, this has been an unprecedented period for everybody, and especially because of the lockdown that we experienced between March and June. Obviously, energy provision was not included as an essential service. So during the lockdown period, you could not travel to meet with your customers, even though solar has been classified as a priority, a form of energy that is non-taxed in Kenya. We didn't see a good prioritization of what kinds of businesses should be allowed to continue operating during the lockdown period, for example. That was one of the most difficult periods because you could not travel to the customers. We also have a credit scheme with the farmers. You could not collect the money from the farmers. I mean, I can tell you, probably even in our risk assessment, we never at any time anticipated that there could be a situation where you are completely unable to do business.
Mr. Washikala, you were a Washington Mandela Fellow, which later became YALI. During the program, which is supported by the USADF, are there any lessons you picked that have helped you deal with service delivery in your country during this pandemic?
It was about the lessons learned during the
lessons that you picked up from the YALI
that could help deal with the COVID-19. And I was trying to say that, as we are talking about, we are like our listeners and our viewers are hearing a lot about USADF and the grant funding, they might think that, in order to start, you need to have access to to grant funding or something like that. But I just want to make this clear that whenever, as Ade said, whenever there is a challenge in our continent, that challenge presents also an opportunity, and the most important thing is to start somewhere. And in most cases, you start with your own resources, community resources or family resources. You don't want, because most of these companies that benefit from organizations like USADF, they benefit, like along the journey, it's only, like few, like maybe a company that are lucky to get seed funding to start something. So it's very important to have that courage to use our own resources and start. And along the way, you can, get help and support. So that is very important. I wanted to make it clear. That's one. But also, as you can, like if you hear USADF, so it is a US initiative. It also tells us, like, in order to do what we are doing sustainable, these are African problems. So it should be also even a lesson for African governments. These, we cannot leave, these huge problems, big problems into the hands of other people. So if we think these problems are serious, have to be addressed. So African governments too should be able to put in place initiatives such as USADF that supports the initiative of their citizens and people. That is also very important. So talking about the lessons that we learned during the program, definitely we learned a lot of lessons. But and again, one of the biggest lessons that I learned is that, we have to own our problems, because if you believe in what you do and you are working on a big problem, you'll be able to work hard even to to overcome the challenges that are brought by such problems like COVID-19. So it's all about owning the problem and working on big problems that are affecting the continent. And that is what one of the lessons that I learned. Because when I was, for instance, participating in the Mandela Washington Fellowship, and there is one professor during one of the sessions who asked us, like the participant, that what was your first impressions when you came to the United States participating in this program? And my answer was, what I've learned here, and the first impression is that, there is nothing that is done here that we can do at home on the continent if you are serious about really things. So, so it's very important, I think, for young Africans and as a whole to have this kind of perspective that, we have to own our problems and we have to work hard in order to address those problems.
I love calling them challenges, African solutions to African challenges. And as we wrap, because we are strictly out of time, I'd like to ask for a parting shot from each of us. And the way I would like to get the parting shot is, I'll start with you, Joyce. As we move forward as a continent, we definitely can't continue powering our industries with fossil fuel. In your opinion, what is the opportunity in this renewable energy sector that people should actually look to and be interested in investing more in?
Yeah, definitely. We've seen during this pandemic period, we have access, at least in Kenya, most of the electricity is generated from renewable sources, and that is because of our location. We have geothermal energy, we have hydro power, but a lot of especially businesses in agriculture, like the tea industry, factories, they use energy also from non-renewable sources. We fire a lot of boilers using non-renewable sources of energy. We are talking about motor vehicles, because I think that is one of the biggest area where Africa has, and Kenya specifically, has not made a lot of strides, because we still rely very much on diesel. We are not even moving towards hybrid forms of energy. Now, the opportunities exist within the small hydro sector and the solar, solar systems for agriculture, especially factories. We have more than 100 tea factories, and the tea industry in Kenya has really been evaluating alternatives of firing the factories. Wood is used a lot. We don't have enough wood. And I believe solutions that will be able to, kind of provide alternatives for these kinds of heavy power consuming processing factories will definitely be transformative. And that energy has to be renewable. So whether it's more hydro, it's solar, or other forms of renewable energy, I don't only think hydro and solar are the only forms of alternatives that are available. The space, there is a lot of space for innovations and technologies that fit a specific market need. The other area that has quite some opportunities relate to water recycling. Because water recycling, we have a lot of factories that produce massive amounts of wastewater, and this space, because of the new regulations, has opportunities to bring some solutions, some technologies, especially from renewable energy, to clean the water, recycle the water, and a number of, because I I participate in the Kenya Association of Manufacturing Energy discussions. These are some of the areas that really the industry is looking for solutions. And I believe upscaling from just small solar systems, for example, or household energy into energy for industrial use will be the next transformation and the next space for energy entrepreneurs in Africa, not only Kenya, but in Africa generally.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Washikala, you are probably one of the very first in your sector, in your area. Do you see opportunities for more people to come and squeeze you in that space?
Yeah, definitely, George. So there is a huge market here, and and that is why I'm saying that we need to be involved, because if you are not involved as young Africans, the market will be addressed by others, and so you start complaining anyway. So the market is huge, and it is for us to come together and work. There are a lot of opportunities, to be honest, like Congo, look at the Congo market, over 90% of the people here do not have access to electricity, and we are talking about over 70 million people that do not have access to electricity. So the market is huge. It is ready for different solutions, whether it is solar pumps, solar home system, and even larger systems. So, and even the manufacturing of solar panels, everything really is welcome here, and the market is huge, and really and as we are in a network, and I think it is our responsibility to support each other. If you have, for instance, Joyce wants to come to the DRC and start here and expand into DRC, we are there to help them, definitely. Or Chucks or Ade, after piloting in Nigeria, they can just come and we'll help them to introduce, to start businesses here, because the market is huge, definitely. We don't have to worry about anything. Yeah.
I see Joyce smile, so be prepared. She might be on the next flight to Kinshasa or Goma But Ade, you already are in a country where at least there are two people doing something in the renewable energy sector. There is you and there is Chucks. Do you see any further opportunity for more Ades to come and do those green things to the lower income bracket of Nigeria?
Oh, definitely. And let me quickly correct you. There's more than me and Chooks. Trust me, the renewable energy industry in Nigeria is growing. So there's a lot of players, a lot of big players, small players. And just to wrap it quickly, there's a lot of space for, Chooks had said earlier, we have abundance of sun. We've spoken from different countries about how many we are, like this, about approximately 200 million people in Nigeria. And we've also spoken to all the challenges that we have and spoken to the opportunity that is there. So I believe that there's space for everybody. Need to think of the problems and the challenges in our own context, so that we can solve it in our own way, people as a continent. The opportunity thing, that's what will disrupt the space and kind of help us move ahead and get solutions that are simple, cheaper, and so that we can progress as a nation and move ourselves out of poverty, because that's what it really is about.
Interesting. Chooks, someone maybe is sitting somewhere with money and ready to take risks like you did. And they're thinking probably this renewable energy is the way to go for me. Do you think, first of all, that more companies need to adopt renewable energy sources, renewable sources of energy to power their operations?
Okay, yeah. Like Adegbite mentioned, in Nigeria, the market is huge. The renewable energy sector may be arguably the fastest growing sector. I've spent like 13 years in the industry, but every day I hear new companies I never heard about before. And I say, come on, where are you coming from? So many players are coming to the Nigerian market. And like, Nigerian market is hot. Arguably the hottest in Africa. So people are always trooping into the market. So the market is huge. And part of the things that happened in Nigeria recently is our energy tariff went up. Cost of petrol went up. So what is happening is that it's making renewable energy sources more attractive, more competitive, because it's getting to where we have, price parity with the grid. So what you're seeing happening in Nigeria is that a lot of industries are beginning to look at renewable energy sources. So it's becoming more attractive to investors. So people are definitely looking at it. One of the areas that I know, that in the next few years, going to also see investment move towards is in the area of recycling, especially in batteries. Because over the years, you have these things keep piling up, and there are a lot of laws now in exporting them. So, there is a huge gap in the recycling, because recycling is one business that has a lot of margin. It looks dirty. I always tell people, I say, where is dirty? That is where the money is. Sometimes you need to close your eyes and go for the money. So the opportunities are endless. The opportunities are endless. Yeah, that I can tell you. Thank you.
Thank you. Femi, when Chooks is saying, investors are salivating at the growing interest in the renewable energy sector, this means that your mandate actually is being fulfilled when one solar company after another. As a person who is looking from outside in, do you think there is opportunity for growth?
Absolutely, resounding yes, 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 yes. If we just step back for a minute and just think about, we all talk about, Africa being the next frontier, right? For economic growth, right? The huge amount of young adults that we have, the growing population still, right? Nigeria, for example, is about what, 200 million, projected to be 400 million by 2040 or something by the UN. So you kind of look at that and look at what comes with that growing population, right? The demand in terms of agriculture, you talked about all the sectors, right? Healthcare, education, name whatever sectors, all of that economic revolution is going to be fueled by energy, right? And renewable energy is going to be the way to the way to do it. So there's tremendous opportunity in all sectors, in all areas. We've thrown out the number 650 million, projected to like electricity by 2030. Right now, the number is about 850 right now that lack electricity. Majority of those are in African states, right? We're talking about Nigeria being 200 million, about half the population, not lack electricity. So you think about that tremendous population growth. You think about the tremendous potential in all different sectors that Joyce has mentioned, that Day has mentioned, that Chooks has mentioned, that Washikala has mentioned. So there's a huge amount of opportunity across different sectors for renewables, solar, wind, hydro, like we've talked about, biomass in all different areas. So yes, our mandate is, we're helping to spread, and that's our goal, to be able to use our capital, all those tools that we have to de-risk some of these projects and investments and enterprises for private capital to be able to come in, right alongside us, right, and with us to help grow these companies, to meet those challenges and those gaps, right, so we can actually achieve that frontier that Africa is trying to get into in terms of economic growth and prosperity across the continent. So it's exciting times, and I say there's a lot of opportunity here.
And we are ready to grab these opportunities and run with them. Thank you very, very much, Chooks. Thank you, Ade. Thank you, Femi, Joyce, and Washikala, for making time and having such an insightful contributions to this discussion. Next week on the Yebo Watch Party, same time, same place, we will be discussing food and how to cultivate hope through investment in African farmers and agribusinesses. Some of the people that we've had on today's panel, like Joyce, who is working closely with farmers, I'm sure this is something that she will want to tune in so that she can learn more on what USADF is doing with farmers on the continent. But for now, thank you very much for making time, and I wish you a lovely weekend ahead. Take care and stay safe. Thank you very much, and do have a lovely evening.
My name is Dorcas Sakai Ejore. I am the chairperson and founder of Neema Poultry Enterprise. Neema Group is a group of young women. We started in 1998. We wanted to improve our economic standards also, especially starting at the household level.
Wanda ake yin miya da shi, albasa kunnai da albasa da kanta da abin ga albasa da kanta da kuma hallo tiji din albasa.
Suma shi nyana mati bulu ka afen. E kon mashi ate ni yemini misoro. Il faut que ni kadde ngwa musaka. Ugele ya baba ko. Wakoro ko mini muso jera ka fara nyokonga. Ka chake da do sigi. Ko nyem ko ya kalifanela.
No kon hakli be doka nga fara nga bore mwa ka nyama. Ka samnya ji abala bulu ate jomulu. Ngoni njibe akanga chaya.
Pour ce qui concerne l'activité de production de beurre de karité, c'est d'abord une activité donc des femmes, réservée aux femmes, voilà. Et afin que ces femmes-là puissent donc vendre le beurre qu'elles produisent et aussi pouvoir tirer profit, voilà.